Hey guys, how y'all doing? It's me, Quinny, and I've got the legend with me. Cani Sports is back on the channel. Cani, thanks a lot for joining us, my man. How you been?
I've been good. I've been very happy and looking forward to this game week, but also scared for what's to come after and just the nothingness that's about to come and like having to deal with that with no ETH in the bank.
Yeah, it's that's the thing about international breaks is it does give you a good kind of little option or a good little opportunity to like take two paces back and just
Yep.
go right where am I actually at? Because yeah, like it's great. Obviously, been in game weeks all the time, but like when you're like in the cold face of it, sometimes you miss stuff in
Yeah.
terms of like how deep you are, or maybe underexposed somewhere, overexposed somewhere, that kind of thing. But with a lot of stuff that's going on in the market as well, it raises a lot of question marks on what moves are the best ones to make for now and what's
Yeah.
optimal, all that kind of fun.
I've been watching your guys' podcast, the end product one, and you
Yeah,
guys were talking about goalkeepers, and it like led to me going into my gallery and being like, hold on, let me just see what goalkeepers do I actually have, and I realized myself, I'm glad that the MLS and the Asian leagues kind of play into the European season
yep.
because I have one European goalkeeper right now. So that puts me into a really weird spot. But at the same time, I don't really play Challenger Europe or Champion Europe. So I really wonder if it's worth for me to pick up one when I already have these Asian or American ones for at least until like November or whenever the World Cup is going to come around.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a weird spot to be in. It feels awkward not having any any European goalkeeper at the moment.
Yeah. It is. Like, I'm down to my bare bones on European keepers because yeah, I had a lot of backups I've been shedding recently that I don't think are going to make it next season, and I've just not got the time or patience for them anymore. You know, and I've got some other guys that might have maybe they get, maybe one guy's out of contract and going somewhere, or that kind of idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I think the calendar this year with Qatar and everything, like I think everything's synced up to finish
Yeah.
then. Like all these
Yeah.
summer leagues like MLS, J&K or whatever will conclude, and obviously the winter break will kick in for all the Europeans.
Do
So
you personally consider like the World Cup period to be one that you want to be engaged in terms of Sorare? Because I'm a bit worried that they just go the route of, this is only how many games we have during these weeks. So the rewards are going to be extremely small. Like the prize pools are going to be very small. So there's no reason to really engage with it for most people unless you have some of the better lineups, like if you have a France
yeah,
stack or whatever. Do you personally feel like you're going to be engaging in it a lot or
a
no?
1,000,000% the group stage. Because I think
Yeah.
the group stage is, with every international tournament, the group stage is where most of the real fun happens.
Yes.
And then it's like the kind of class and the stories and the memories that kind of happen in the knockouts.
Yeah.
But, like Korea beating Germany or, these types of results, they happen in the groups.
You
And
had to bring that up, didn't you?
because it was only three. It was the first one that came in my mind. I don't know why. Um,
You could have said, Germany beating Brazil 7-1 or whatever, but you
yeah.
chose the Korea one. All right.
But yeah, so like I think like the stacks and all that, definitely if you're thinking about the whole tournament, you have to have like a top five nation. But I think the group stages, like if you have a goalkeeper, because it's 3 games, everyone's going to play. That means you've got a goalkeeper for 3 game weeks, and I think we have now at least. I know not all teams are nailed in qualification yet, but I think all the match days are laid out in terms of the calendar
Hmm.
dates for television purposes and whatever. So I
Hmm.
think like if you were motivated enough to go and check and just see like, oh, maybe just like a midfielder, or maybe if I got another goalkeeper now, could I cover the entire group stage? Because the
Yeah.
group stages, as you know, will keep going the way so rare game weeks go anyway. They'll
Yeah.
just be continuous. It'll be like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long the group stage takes for. But it'll just be like normal kind of. So I think the group stages, if you're not too far away from having some action, I would definitely want a piece. But again,
Yeah.
if you're at zero, it's not worth prioritizing.
Yeah. Do you want to like invest into certain players due to that reason, like wanting to be involved?
Well, I bought a super rare Cunha for that reason because I think Cunha will be the number one centre forward for Brazil come the World Cup.
Really?
Like, yeah, so like that's a little kind of gambit I'm making. Brazil, a
Mm.
top five league. I might not have a team that will go all the way, but
Mm.
for that card, for his profile, for his career, like a good World Cup would be
Doesn't
nice.
Richarlison or Bobby play that position?
I think Cunha will take it. I think Cunha's the
Really?
man. Yeah. I think
Okay. Good luck.
Cunha, Neymar, and Vinicius Junior. That's what I think. So, well, I might be wrong. I think he'll
Yeah.
be in the squad 100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the manager
That's
likes
probably.
him enough, and
Yeah.
I think with the stuff that's happening at Atletico, and he was injured for a little bit this year. I think I think him and Felix and Griezmann. I think that'll be the front three. Or
Yeah, I personally really like Cunha when he was in Germany. He was always
stellar,
one where
man.
I was like watching out for him. I felt like he could take that next step. I was a bit like annoyed that he went to Atletico because,
Same.
as we know, attacking players in that team do suffer a bunch unless they can, carry themselves through the games and just utilize every single chance they have to score.
Yep.
But yeah, I was kind of hoping it would go somewhere else, where it's a team that likes to attack a bit more. But yeah, you're right. I think he's definitely going to get some playtime. That's for sure. Even if it isn't like starting lineup, he's probably going to get some playtime there.
Yeah. I was more annoyed with him when he went to Hertha Berlin in like the January or something. And it was like, I think it was the January before Werner left. And it was like, man, come on, just stick it out until Werner leaves. Like, you'll definitely be the guy there.
Yeah.
You're just desperate to go. And also he went to Hertha, like you'll remember watching Bundesliga, but like his first 2 months, I think he maybe got 4 or 5 goals rapid, and everyone was like, oh, what a signing by Berlin. They've spent money well once for a change, and then it didn't really also pan out. He ended
got to
up
do
at
that
Atletico
again now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just survived relegation with your boy Boyata, right?
Big Boyata, yeah. So he's staying in Champion Europe undoubtedly. I was nervous as hell for that. Because, but that Bundesliga too, like I've heard Tanaka as well, he's going to be staying at Dusseldorf next season. They were nowhere near promotion this year, but I think they were all right. I think they were kind of upper mid-table. But I don't think they really made a good stab at it. So, avoiding that is lovely. Because he's like captain. And like the thing about Berlin, I made a video about them not too long ago. I think it was one of the ones we Laird talking about how like their defense is so active because they're so bad, And that could be good fun next year with somebody that's got decisive.
On that second division note, I mean, we know that Sorare came out again and announced that they have the Bundesliga rights for the next year at least. And they also have the rights to Bundesliga too. Do you think they'll make use of it? Like, apparently they have multiple second divisions secured. So I was wondering, like, when is that time going to come where they put that into Sorare? And if they do you agree with me that they should probably put all the second divisions into one specific league and not Challenger Europe? Because I feel like the dominant sides in those second divisions could really like throw off the ecosystem a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't know. I was thinking about this a while ago with Challenger Europe, because if you add those clubs into any expansion we could have in Challenger, because Challenger's like bulging at the moment, then I would be quite open to them going in with like the lower end Challenger leagues, like Croatia or, no harm to them, Austria, like some of these like ones where it is like outside of a dominant team that they have already. Like, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Austria, Salzburg cards are too valuable, perhaps. But like, there is leagues, Denmark, like in Challenger Europe, that they're very close to being like semi-professional in terms of like the overall structure. Maybe not outside the teams that qualify for Europe, but in those second tiers, I think they would probably compare quite well. You'll probably find actually a lot of those clubs actually transfer amongst each other.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like it would be a good place if they had that new division in which you would have all those second division leagues or teams. I think it would be a nice place to like, if that's one of those places where if you do your research right, you can have a big advantage, because you then see that young kid that now in the Bundesliga wasn't getting playing time, but in the second Bundesliga, he's now the main man because the big man has left. He gets the play time now because they don't obviously have that much money anymore. So they have to rely on other pieces in their starting lineups. So like in those types of position, I feel like it would be even more depth that goes into Sorare now and research. So I like that idea of it. I like the idea of like picking up a guy that plays in the second division in that specific division in Sorare, where you might not win the biggest rewards that are worth a lot, but for the future, if that guy has an amazing season in the second Bundesliga, now you're looking at the Bundesliga team picking him up and actually playing him as well. And now you have a Champ Europe player. So I like that. I like that progression thought of it.
Me too. Like I as you were saying that there, the only game I've ever been to in Germany was St. Pauli and Kaiserslautern, and it was like 5 or 6 years ago or something. And in the St. Pauli team was Marcel Hausenberg, who's went on to play for Leipzig and stuff like that, get some Germany caps. And in the Kaiserslautern team at centre back was Willie Orban. you know. And obviously he's around to play for Leipzig as well, and he's pretty good right now, you know. And you know, both that was a Division 2 game, you know, like 5 or 6 years ago, you know, and you're bang on because like La Liga 2 is where Darwin Núñez came from. Before Benfica bought Darwin Núñez, they got him from a team in La Liga 2. I forget which one it is, but it's one that's relatively known to people. It's not like a wee obscure club.
Yeah,
maybe Las Palmas or something like that. I want to say.
Be. I'm going to send a double check right now.
So sometimes you get these wee funny situations where like some of these lower divisions get
Almeria.
There we go. And you know, if you've picked up Darwin Núñez at Almeria,
exactly. Yeah. Or like Barcelona loans out a bunch of players each season, right? If one of them goes into the second division, there you go. If one of them does really well there, he moves into the first team. Now you got a Barcelona player who are extremely overpriced anyways, looking at their SO5 scores. But yeah, like there are unlimited opportunities that I really like. So I'm hoping they actually put that into the game. I really hope they bring them in.
So I just actually read on Twitter yesterday about a guy in Barcelona B, and he's like 23 or something like that. I can't remember his name, but it's a funny name. It's like 6 letters. It begins with like a J or something like that, like Jopka or something like that.
Fake Jota.
something like that. And I think he's leaving, and I think people are like, oh, by the way, whoever gets this guy will be on to a winner. He's not got a card or anything, I don't think. But say he's got an unusual little name, and like, it's a really fun thing to think about in terms of those second divisions. I got the feeling...
Is that what it is? Striker. Jotkla.
Yes, that's
his name. Yeah. Okay.
And I think Buzz is like, oh, whoever picks this guy up will have a player on their hands kind of idea. But like, I remember when Bundesliga first came out, like that's when we first got that little nod that, we do have this stuff. And it was around the time we got Monza as well.
Yeah.
And I think like August or something like that, there's going to be like boom, 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 you know, maybe some sort of like difference made to the XP levels of limiteds or rares in some way, so that they can then coexist in a pro division, perhaps. The scoring matrix, we're expecting tweaks, of course, and then like subsequently then divisions, you can then add in new divisions like Challenger, Beta, or fucking whatever, you know. And then from that point onwards, it's like we've got like all the money we've made and all this and all this and all this, we've grown and grown and grown. This is all the stuff, and it's like we're ready to go and like push on like TV ads and whatever.
Yeah, all that I like that. I think that would be probably another like MLS announcement type of thing again. That video that we had,
exactly. A big,
a big video. Now stuff. You can play Serie B, Bundesliga 2, and all that stuff, and announce it all together. I like that. I was kind of hoping they would do stuff like that a little bit more often. It's been a bit quiet lately, releasing a bunch of stuff for South America and such, and relicensing some of the clubs, which has been nice, of course. It's always nice to have that. But I was kind of hoping a little bit more would be happening. Do you think it's the silence before the storm right now, or?
I don't really know with South America, because I've heard guys like rumor to me in like DMs and stuff like that, like, oh yeah, Argentinian division's coming. The whole division's signed. The cards are somewhere. Somebody's found the cards or somebody's seen something. And I feel like I heard those whispers like 4 months ago. And again, similar thing happened to Scotland, I guess. That we kind of had little leaks and whatever. So maybe that's around the corner, I suppose. But for me, man, like Argentinian division, I'm starting to get closer to it. And obviously River is such a story at the moment. It's hard not to be. But with South America, man, it's the full Brazilian league I want to see. I want to see Flamengo, Fluminense, Sao Paulo,
all those youngsters that, man, I would love that. Yeah, I'd love that.
That's where they all are.
15-year-olds that are doing madness.
Yeah, man.
Isn't that Endrick guy from Palmeiras? I believe his name was Endrick. Yeah, like there's a couple really interesting ones that
all the
always
ones with
come out
names.
Every single year. Yeah,
buy them all. You've got one name, I'm buying them.
Yes,
a one name limited rookie. Stack them up, man.
And then you see their actual name is like 8 different names, isn't it?
But yeah, that Endrick. And I think there was another guy that just went to Man City recently. I can't remember his name now. And then
Kaiki? No.
You're probably
Kaiki?
right.
Was it? I think it was. I'm not too sure, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. You've nailed it. Kaiki or something. Yeah. So guys like that, that's what I really want
from knowledge.
That's what I want from the... Oh, is he in FIFA? Is he good?
Yeah, he has like super high potential from what I can remember. So I used him a couple of times, but he was a big young talent added into FIFA 22 at the
That's
time.
fun.
Yeah, he has 87 potential, starts off at 66. So yeah, there you go.
Nice. And I don't know if my memory's failing me here, but I think he maybe got a loan to a second division team somewhere, or I
Did
maybe
he?
thinking about somebody else. I don't know. But City do that as well sometimes. Like some of these guys
Yeah.
go to second division outfits rather than a challenger side.
Hmm.
But no, maybe I'm mistaken on that.
I feel like sending those types of players into like second divisions can be good from a physical aspect.
Yeah.
Getting used to the tight schedules and having to play against physically rigid players rather than technically gifted.
Yep.
I think that kind of helps some of these like South American players, for example, who are more on the technical side. So then when you have played in those areas, when you come up, you then have that technical and then physical side as well, which can be beneficial. So it kind of makes sense that teams like Man City would do that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard a similar description to that of like the Portuguese league as well, because like in Portugal, like it's so easy, apparently, so I'm told, like through third hand and all that caper, but it's so easy to get like Brazilians into the country and all that kind of thing on a trial and that kind of thing, and maybe even
It's the same
people
for
from Africa.
Argentinians for Italy, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds like
Yeah.
it could be a thing as well, for sure. So like the guys that are like lifers, like the actual like professional footballer that's like a squad player who plays number 8 for the 12th team in the division, he needs to be like, it's his job. I mean, if one of these wee random young kids fly in one day and take his spot, he's making less money because he's not getting starting appearances and all that.
Yeah.
So like, that whole league is like outside of those little prospects is all quite like hard, like Portuguese, like veteran, like pros, if you like, that give it as good as they get kind of idea.
Yeah.
So
Pepe.
yeah, it's a fun, yeah. That's definitely something I've heard before. As I said, that just popped into my head there.
Yeah.
But one thing I've loved watching with your gallery, like over the last like 2 or 3 months, is the use of this Slovak super rare goalkeeper in All Star Pro.
Morishiga and Slovak, my favorites.
It's been such a great play because I had a super rare Slovak and I sold mine right around as you started using yours.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like, I think like he won me a few cards, but the first card he won was an Asia D3 and he was my super rare along with like a midfielder or something.
Yeah.
And when I won that, I remember I've brought it up a few times and like Surface Terra Missile, I remember it was him, or no, it might not have been Surface. Was it somebody else? Was Surface that helped you? So I think that's maybe why he's come into my head just now. But somebody shot me down big time, like, nah, you don't want to do that. And I was thinking, nah, but it kind of makes sense. Like, because the goalkeeper, like, if you've got the best goalkeeper in the division, then that can offer an advantage as such. And I've done it a few times, but I never really committed to it. And see you committing to it and like pulling it off, like the run of wins you got off the back of it was incredible. It was great fun to watch. Is that a strategy you think you'll repeat again?
I think so. I'm actually like thinking about repeating that in like the rare areas, which I've done with Paul Lopez. Thanks, Quinny. I tried it with Paul and then he basically died. But yeah, like the Slovak Morishiga pairing, at the time I wanted to get Morishiga because I was just basically moneyballing it, just looking at the stats and SO5 scores. No clue about Asian football at all at the time when I bought him. And then I was talking to Surface and I was like saying, what if I add this player to the All-Star Pro lineup? And then he came back to me and said, like, you know what? It's very underestimated to buy a defensive stack in that sense, like goalkeeper and defender, because it makes a huge difference when they do get that clean sheet and you get that massive boost in score, especially considering the percentages on the players. You get a huge boost to your score. And also the main thing that he mentioned to me was like the prices of a super rare goalkeeper is most of the time around like twice the amount of the rare. And when I wanted to buy an outfield player, it was always like 3 to 4 times. So I was like, you know what? That's actually really smart. Let me just look into the market. And then bang, all of a sudden Slovak was on the market. I was like, yep, that's a sign. I'm going to get him Slovak and Morishiga and then go with that. And it worked out really well. Thankfully, those 2 back-to-back weeks, All-Star Rare Pro, I think it was, where I got the 2-star rares, was pretty happy with that. And like it's a process of like constantly learning and like asking other managers and getting those types of tips has been so helpful. And that's what I really like about this community itself, because you just have people that like to help out, that like to share their experience. rather than like, oh no, I'm going to keep this for myself. I'm not going to let anyone know. Because at the end of the day, I can look into your gallery and see what you're doing, right? I can look
Of course.
into your SO5 stats and see what you're doing. So it's kind of nice to have people, wanting to help out. And luckily, that has really worked out. So I'm probably thinking about doing that again next year. My main team that I would love to do it with would be AC Milan, because Maignan is unreal.
Yep.
He's very good.
Agreed.
And on top of it, they could have an amazing defense. If Botman joins as well, you could have Tomori, Botman, Romagnoli, Kalulu, Theo Hernandez, Calabria, and then have Tonali right in front of them. Like, I feel like AC Milan might be a massive play next year, but of course, Maignan costs a ton. So I'll have to win a couple of rewards before I get there.
I think with AC Milan, like I've looked at the market a few times. Unfortunately, there's not many of them around. But I think if you can get your hands on a Origi, I think he'll explode at Milan.
You think?
Like, oh yeah, I think he'll be mental good at Milan. To be honest with you, I thought the same kind of thing. See if you remember when Giroud was like peak at Arsenal. I remember, and he used to get slagged all the time by Arsenal fans, and I was like, oh, we need somebody better and all that. With him especially, I used to remember thinking, you put him in any team in Europe, he gets 30 goals, 25 plus easy a season, just for being a big, like, good striker like that,
Yeah.
and a well-built
very
team.
Good instinctive striker, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Origi's got that, but with pace as well, and he's got big game experience with Liverpool behind him. He's not just like, oh, he could be good. He's done it. Like, that's what he's famous for, is the clutch moments at the point where, legends are made, or people
That's
slip
true.
and fall.
And with Zlatan out for like 6 months now.
Yep.
They need that big guy to come in. Is Giroud still contracted to
I'm
Milan?
not too sure about Giroud, to be quite honest with you, but I think like Zlatan's 40. Like if he makes, I think he'll just be making the amount of appearances required in the league to get another medal, and then maybe he plays the minnows in the Champions League to get a couple of goals. But
yeah, I think it probably will be like Origi starting and then Giroud always coming on 75th minute, whatever.
If you've got Leao, and again, like the thing with AC Milan that I'm kind of waiting to see is who they sign for like right wing, because last year they had that Messiah on loan, Messias from
Messiah
from like City
Belgian
C
guy
or something like that. It's a really low level team he came from. Yeah. And he wasn't really. He was okay. It wasn't great.
He did all right. Yeah,
he was okay. That Salamakers.
Salamakers, there you go.
Is hot and cold.
I don't like him. I don't like him. I watched a bunch of AC Milan games at the time when I had Tomori. I just don't know, man. He feels like too erratic.
Yeah.
Not.
He's a big tryhard. That's what I like about him. It's like, he will run through a wall and won't think about it.
Exactly. Yeah. But I feel like he doesn't do it with thinking about it. It's like, I'm gonna run right through it. I feel like he's a bit too hectic. If he calms his game down, I feel like he could be so much better. But as you said, like he likes to do things real quick and like get something done as soon as possible rather than picking the right options. So I feel like right wing would be a huge play for them. Just a suggestion: if Sinistera can play right wing, AC Milan, go ahead.
Aye, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What one was it from Feyenoord? Was it Sinistera or Sinise? What was the one that got called up by both countries?
Sinise, yeah.
Sinise. Yeah. That was funny. I couldn't believe that was the first time in history they both sent documents in.
Yeah, such a weird one. Yeah.
Like, no one talking to people. I don't know.
I guess he's going to go.
If you were him.
What's the other one that he can play for?
Italy or Argentina?
I don't know. Right now with Italy, centre-backs wise, I can only think of Bastoni. Who else do we have? Like Chiellini, Bonucci are very old, right?
Yeah. Maybe Mancini at Roma or...
Yeah, I feel like if you play in Italy, there's going to be a lot of bias towards you. So if Senesi was playing in Italy and he was playing as well as he is, I'd say, yeah, go for it, because then you have the respect and like the people know that you are a good player. But because you're like in Netherlands right now, I feel like Argentina might be the play for him. I don't know. I like Argentina's youth and what they have coming up. So I feel like maybe that'd be good. Him and Romero at centre back. Why not?
Yeah, Romero's been good this year, eh?
Yeah, he's been very good. Yeah,
it's so that Atalanta have never had, or still don't have cards. Atalanta have got some amount of players on their books as well that are tasty.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones there, surely. What are you going to do with with Celtic specifically, like what scarcities are you going for? Do you want to go limited as well, or do you want to go super rare?
Well, I'm actually just trying to work that stuff out there now because like I've got a very generous around February March time I went really into Champion Euro like supers and strengthening some Champion Euro under 23s just because I think in terms of like my strategy and the kind of themes I like to run, there was just some really good players that ticked the boxes like Eric Garcia being at Barca, ex CFG, under 23. Also got Ferran Torres there, ex CFG, or whatever, Guardiola, U23, Leipzig, these kind of things. But I'm now trying to balance it up and weigh it up because I'm like Champion Euro, I think is going to be rewarded better as time goes on because there is only going to be the top 5 leagues in that region. We've never had that. We've never had the full 5, all 20 fully complemented for the reward pool to be the maximum that it possibly could be, as well as like the variety of options and all the rest of it, yada yada. So I do want to keep like enough of a footprint in there where I'm like I just need to buy a goalkeeper and then all of a sudden I can play like a bit more there at a decent level, and then even without having that goalkeeper, the kind of strength and depth that gives me. That's what I'm trying to work out is what's the balance between having enough depth to keep like say a Champion Euro Pro team mega competitive, but at the flip of a switch by buying a goalkeeper, I've then got a rare that is competitive without suffering that one.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to balance to now because that's all I need champion cards for specifically. Everything else I can just get Celtic and New York cards for now.
Yeah.
Which are like along with Leipzig, the 3 teams I deliberately watch the most,
So that vertical stacking idea you guys were talking about is going to come in quite handy then.
Well, yeah, I'm hopefully like I love watching all the stuff I watch, but I'm hoping to like in like Germany, for example, just try and keep it to Leipzig. Like this year, I watched Leipzig, Frankfurt, Wolfsburg, Hoffenheim, and
probably Leverkusen because of it.
And I seen a lot, mainly Leverkusen in Europe because Celtic had them in the group. So I kind of, had like Leverkusen around that time. And then obviously Wirtz get injured and I was just like, pie them off. Thank God. Somebody off my to-do list. So I'm hoping, so for this year, I kind of want to kind of zoom in a bit more just on what games I can watch. I do plan on watching all the leagues I'm watching still, but just in terms of like, if Leipzig aren't on the telly, then I maybe give Bundesliga a slide and watch a bit more of Argentina because I've got Barco at River or something, or that kind of idea. So I suppose that will kind of kick in for me. And with limiteds, I've not gave them any thought, to be honest with you. Like limited, this is something I wanted to talk to you about, right? So this is where I'm at with limiteds, right? I've only kind of knocked this around for a couple of what's today, Friday, maybe since Tuesday or something. I can't remember why. I was listening, it might have been in Andrews talking about XP and limiteds, and I was actually listening to Nellis and Alex this morning talking about something similar. And for me, my priority division in limited, I think, is specialist, right? That's the one that I'm putting my best limited cards against every game week because it runs all the time. You can win rares at the big end, blah, 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 whatever, right? But in specialist, there's no XP.
Yeah.
So the need to like keep a card to like rank it up, or the difficulties you have in winning prizes in global and U23 and whatever because you've not got high XP cards, it's just raw fantasy, just raw points in that specialist league. So so it's something I'm starting to think about more with my limiteds, and this is what I'm thinking about maybe for Europe, is I might run like really threadbare in like, because like with specialist, you've got the 2 cards that have to be underdog. Like they're the boy. You then can't have more from the 2 from the same team, which is always fine by me. And the head is like you can only have 1 over 60. A lot of the good limited cards I've got, like Hakimi, Goretzka, even Haaland for ages, there wasn't really any point in time where all 3 of them were L15 over 60. So most of the time I could get those 3 in as like a core, no matter what. And maybe the odd time, maybe 2 of them go over the 60 mark, or maybe all 3 of them do, and you're a wee bit screwed for a while, whatever. But like top end players don't all typically, especially if they're not on the same team, maybe not all hitting form quite in sync as such.
Yeah.
And if you can nail those underdog rotations in terms of maybe getting a goalkeeper that you can run for 3 or 4 game weeks on the trot, or a striker that's back from injury is the other underdog card. I think that's where I'm next season, where I might dive into limiteds a bit more, and that may be where I discover like new cards or different teams or different people.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about like the whole limited side of things. Of course, I started off with the whole limiteds, and I didn't know that I wanted to invest this much. So at the time, like going into limiteds made sense. But right now, I'm in a spot where I don't know. I'm just enjoying the scarcity of the rares. I just enjoy that there aren't 50,000 of each player on the market at the same time. I don't know, and I just wonder how the market's going to be impacted next season when we get the new batch of cards out and the user base hasn't necessarily risen too much, right? If it's just consistently going up a little bit, and then we still get thousands of these players onto the market again, I just wonder if the demand will diminish, because at some point, all the people that have invested a decent amount into limiteds will have the best players, right? I just wonder where, if we have already hit that ceiling, and for it to go even higher, for us having to bring in more users and more demand for that market to be stable. Because at the moment, I'm in a place where I just don't feel confident about limiteds yet to go back into it, due to the scarcity and due to the whole demand thing and the user base not necessarily growing as much.
Sure.
If they bring out the Premier League news, I'm buying limiteds instantly. Yeah, like if that comes out, I know for a fact there's going to be, I don't know, 10, 20,000 new users within like a, I don't know, 2-month span or whatever. If that news comes out, then I'm going into it, because I feel like at that point, you have basically guaranteed that there's going to be more advertising being done, especially if the advertisements are going to be like during Prem games and Premier League tweets out Sorare. I can see a lot of new users coming in. I feel like the whole limited play depends on the user base consistently growing. And that's just one thing that has kept me back from investing into it, because I see the market and there's constantly like 20 Mbappes on the market. I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
Do you have any worries in that sense?
Well, I completely agree with everything you've said in terms of those worries. I kind of have them. Like, again, I was actually chatting with somebody recently that I've always expected the price of limiteds to like slope away for that reason, because like limiteds aren't really to, like, as I say, to satisfy like say 80,000 users or whatever. It's much more. I think what we'll need to see is how they control that tap. You know, we were talking about rares earlier in terms of like Little Rigi just doesn't have that many cards or whatever, because the license isn't there. And with rares, like, that's really obvious when somebody's not got that many cards printed out. But I think with limited, we've not had enough of them, and I don't think we really know what, when they turn limited right down, like how many cards would a guy get out in a season? Like, you know, if a rare gets injured and never plays, they're probably not going to get more than 20 cards. Like, you know, if they're like a tier 3 injury DNP guy, they're not going to get printed that often. We don't really know what happens with those limiteds, and then equally, we don't know like how much they would turn that down, because you've seen it as much as I have in different spells where like MLS on boards, we basically are getting like one rare auction a week at the moment. It's really slow. Same with Celtic cards. If you look at Celtic cards, auctions just don't really happen at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, the tap is turned right down on it on the rare level. So it's just, I think you'll know more in that sense for like how they control that kind of velocity of the market, if that makes sense. But I totally agree, and that's why like my limiteds, I've always said, like whenever I do dabble in them, I'm always just treating them like I'm burning the ETH, because I have to assume the price of them will always go down, because I can only see more of them coming, you know, and that is what it is. And that's why like last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever, I won that Tyus Magno, and the team, like the bones of the team, the Safanov, Zakarian and Lataro, I sold them all right after it. And I'd bought them almost like day one limiteds. I'd had them for donkeys, XP'd up to their eyeballs and all that. But I had never like really had given them much thought. And when I did buy them, like I said, like I just thought, I'm just burning it. But at this point in time, actually, I could do with ETH that wasn't burnt. You know, I could actually do it to go buy an MLS keeper. So that worked out good for me, because my attitude was just quite like, you know, if I'm any limiteds I pick up, it's burnt, it's gone. Like, I'm not going to see it again. Which is why the ones that I'll pick up with my spare change are always rookies, because then it's like, oh, well, I've got like a collection of rookies. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like,
Yeah.
it's still shiny. It still looks cool.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah, like that whole rookie thing. I wonder if, I mean, in terms of like making sense, it makes sense in terms of like, okay, if he's a rookie, he probably doesn't play as much. As soon as he plays, his price goes up, right?
Yeah.
I just wonder if people actually price in the whole rookie sticker thing and think like, oh, this is worth more.
With rares and super rares, 1,000,000%. Like the price of
Yeah.
rookies are always something. At limited,
Yeah.
you can get them for bugger all,
Yeah.
But I'm looking at a super rare right now. You've just reminded me, because I've been eyeing up a few rookies that are really loving the Bundesliga. One of them's a guy called, I'm just going to say his name, so I'm never going to buy a high enough level of him to make, that's a problem for me. But it's Tom Bischoff at Hoffenheim.
Bischoff. Okay.
Yeah, so he like made one appearance this season. He's like the youngest kid this year to play in the
He's
Bundesliga.
16.
Yeah, he's like really a young kid. Hoffenheim talent ID, I back that a lot,
Yeah.
And their midfield is good, but there's room for somebody to break through. And when kids like this, I remember, and you'll remember as well, Chani, I'm sure from watching Bundesliga, but I remember when Wirtz actually arrived. It was like the back end of a season, and he made like 3 or 4 appearances and got a goal, and it was like, oh, the youngest scorer in Bundesliga. And he wasn't really mega hyped. And I was like, shit, man, I wish I could have a Wirtz card. And he didn't have one at the time. And by the time he came out, the cat was out of the bag kind of idea.
Yeah.
But I get the same kind of vibes with this guy. And another guy who I do have a rare of, his name is Sydney Rehbigger.
Rehbigger, yeah.
Yeah, now see if you look at this guy, he's like youth international records, like it's sick.
Yeah.
Like he's
like a big talent on FIFA as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's why he's dear then. His super rares are always quite expensive. I got a rare of him a wee while ago just because I'm like, I can't not have a Leipzig rookie, that could be amazing, because that's just so much fun for me.
He'd be a good one to loan out to Salzburg if they have room.
Oh, yeah, imagine. Yeah. I'm kind of hoping he gets an Eric Martel, because he got on loan to, it was even Salzburg,
Austria.
It was somebody else, yeah.
Yeah, Austria, yeah.
But yeah, so like rookies are always good fun in that sense, and I think at rare and super rare level, like it's definitely built in, and you only need to look at like Gavi. I was going to say the wrong one with them too. Gavi, Lukeba, and Sesko. Like even just for guys that aren't like, those prices are always quite high also because they're rookies. Because see, as soon as the new season comes out, boom, no more rookies.
Yeah,
that's it. They're done. That's every Gavi rookie that I'll ever be. That's every Sesko. That's every whoever.
Yeah. I agree, yeah.
It's a nice dynamic, it's fun. And they're shiny.
So in terms of your gallery and what is like the ultimate goal for you in terms of so rare? Is it anything tied to an amount that your gallery has to be worth? Is it tied to just enjoyment? Is it, I don't know, community? What's the thing that like you want to strive towards? Because for me, it's mostly the enjoyment that I'm having right now. Like I know my gallery has lost value in terms of fiat, but I'm up on ETH by like 1 ETH at this point due to the crash. But like I'm at a stage where I enjoy Sorare so much, and like the whole scouting thing and everything, and I legit couldn't bother if my players' prices are going down. Like it's just so much fun, like watching the games. I'm in the gym. I have my phone in front of me. I'm like, I have the J League open. I'm watching Tokyo, and they're like playing triangles around their opponents. And I'm like, wow, these guys actually know how to like play football. This is great. Because that was like the first game, like the last game I watched. It was the first game where I actually saw people like play actual good football that would be recognized even on like European level tactically, maybe not like ability wise, but tactically it seemed like, wow, this manager actually knows what he's doing. So like that enjoyment of like discovering things and discovering new players and seeing that one guy that gets subbed on and you're like, oh, those 10 minutes from him were actually really good. And then you go on Sorare data and you're like, oh, he's worth nothing. Let me pick him up.
Yeah.
So the enjoyment for me is the thing that I think will keep me going the most. So I wonder what it is for you. Like, do you have a value in your head? Would you want to have a gallery worth $1 million at some point? What's the plan?
I don't know. Like it's actually a really great question, and something I've been kind of knocking around for a couple of days, because this is probably one of the first times in the last year where I could really like take a wee breath from all the kind of stuff I've been doing with my gallery and all that kind of stuff. And I want to be in terms of like SO5 competition wise, I want to be in the mix to win. Like at this moment in time, the best thing I think that is within my reach is a star super rare from D2, right? Which a lot of people shit on, right? But I think that is within my reach. Like I can build a team that can get close to that. Like that only needs to come in like
once.
Let's just say once. That would be fucking great.
Literally.
And
once half a season,
I'll be the happiest guy in the world, kind of idea. So from a competition perspective, like, unless it becomes a little bit easier to win slightly better uniques, that might change that scope. But for me, now that's the best prize I can relatively win, and the cheapest way of getting to them is All-Star D2. That's the cheapest place to get them, which is competitive. And even though a lot of people openly shit on it, people put strong teams into it because it's a star super rare. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It's Haaland, it's Mbappe, it's Messi, it's super
most
rare.
Of the time when I see it, most of the time I only see the big names winning it. Like, it's the big guys putting the best players in there with their Liverpool stacks and whatever. Like, you just got to catch that one off week where your boys perform and theirs don't. Nice.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
So I feel like I've kind of got myself into the position where I can really, I built a really mediocre Champ Euro D2 team like in a 2-month span when I got the Dennis Suarez and a few other bobs. And the whole time I've been kind of collecting super rares of different profiles. Some of them are coming good, some of them are not, in different levels and different regions and ages and all the rest of it. So I'm now like trying to hone in those D2s into that as well as some other stuff we were talking about. So I've got I want my gallery to be like mean and lean, but what I've been trying to discover over the last, let's say, 6 months is like I've seen guys like go really lean on their gallery and all of a sudden realize they can't win anything. Or if they do, it's like crap. I need everyone to play 90 minutes because this guy gets subbed at 60 or this guy, and then you see guys that have too much and it's like it's too much options and it's like, oh, I should have played him with him and I should have done this and I should have done that. I've been in kind of most of those situations, most people have as well.
Yeah.
And, I think it's the best part for me about doing videos is like, it's on record, the thoughts you have. And sometimes like, if I'm, especially now because I do this full time, I'm in here, sometimes if I'm kind of at a loss, I'll just go back like 7 months and go, what was I thinking 7 months ago? And open a live stream and jump 30 minutes into it or something. And just listen to myself talk for 5 minutes and go, what was I babbling about 6 months ago? And then I'll go, oh yeah, I remember back then that I actually thought that this would happen and and I think the longer you play the game, experience like is what you should be gathering as much as everything else that we talk about. And it's easy to talk about in content in terms of like backup cards that come good and a wee stash ETH that you can make good on one day or whatever. I was about to lead me into something else, sorry, and then I've just totally derailed myself. But yeah, so I think like from my actual gallery, from an SO5 perspective, tactically or strategically, that's kind of where I want it to get to. And in terms of like money values and all that kind of stuff, and even what you're talking about there, that's exactly what I was going to say. In terms of when prices and that move back, like I've had so many guys like Eo Tanaka be the best under 23 mid in the game, undoubtedly move to Bundesliga 2.
Yeah,
like the drop of a hat overnight and crash. I've seen Barco get injured. I've seen Joseph Martinez get injured. I've had all these guys like move into crap leagues, or another guy gets signed and then Titon gets dropped and Cisniega gets dropped. And I've had all this stuff kind of happen to me over the last 2 years where it all goes to crap and best laid plans and all that kind of stuff. So when something that's got nothing to do with what I can control, like the movement of ETH, like it's one of those ones. There is only two options, and it's to kind of shit the bed if you like, or panic and really get worried about it. And if that's your response, or that's your kind of natural kind of vibe, if you like, when that happens, you're overexposed and you definitely give your gallery a haircut.
Yeah.
And the other one is like, if like yourself and like me, if it's like it doesn't knock you off your stride, you're like, so don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just generally speaking,
Tokyo at home this week, man.
Against Kashima, not an easy game. But yeah, like I'm just looking at my ETH charts here, and I'm looking at where I bought in the first time. Like the spot where I bought in, it's a 45% drawdown. So if I just held the ETH, that would be worth 45% less.
Yep.
And now looking at my gallery, I've maybe lost out 25% in terms of fiat value. So it's also kind of a hedge against losing out your value, your fiat value here. I like that a lot about Sorare as well. I love how stable it has been. Yeah, sure, there's been dips and stuff, but that's been natural in terms of like certain leagues ending and the natural progression from Europe to Asia, and now again from Asia to Europe, people wanting to buy into the next season and all that good stuff. I just like that the game itself and the market seems so healthy to me.
Yeah.
That gives me even more conviction moving forward. And yeah, like for me, of course, obviously, I would love to have a gallery worth I don't know how much money, but even then, I wonder, would there ever be a time where I would just sell the gallery because I'm enjoying this so much? Like, is there ever going to be a time where I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm done, thanks, don't want it anymore? I don't think there will ever be that time. At least at this point in time, I'm just really loving the game.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that time will ever come for anyone like me, or even like someone like Laird who's been thinking about like or talking about it in their podcast. Like, would you sell your gallery to restart and all that good stuff? And as he was saying it, as he was asked by Black, he said like, "Would you sell your gallery and restart?" There was like a massive smile on his face because it's the whole like it's the whole like concept of, oh, if I could get all the ETH now and restart, like I feel like that fresh start kind of, gets people going again. I think that might be something that I do at some point, but I don't really see myself completely taking myself out of the game
For sure.
because the enjoyment is just too much.
Well, I do struggle with the whole sell my gallery concept because like, there's just some cards that like are off the table for me. Like they're just, and they're not even ones that, some of them are not even valuable in any way, shape, or form. But like, I've got Carlos Soler that cost me like nothing back in the day, right? It was like a random one, doesn't matter. And then I sold it, and then like 3 days later, somebody had the 1 of 100 very first one ever up for sale for less than what I just sold mine for like 2 days beforehand.
Oh,
So I was like, I can buy this Soler basically for nothing and still have some, from this whole interaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in my head, ever since then, like Soler, like as good or bad as he may ever turn out to be in his career, for me, I'm always like, I've paid myself money to own that Soler. That's how that transaction went for me, if that makes sense. And like Ki Sung Young super rare, like I spent way too much on that because the price of ETH at the time, the auction is L5, which quickly disappeared for 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be coming back now. But when I bought that, I just had to accept, like, I need to ride this guy until he retires this card because I've spent so much on it. I cannot like burn it. I can't just like toss it into the wind on a crap deal just to liquidate it at any stage.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a valuable one, I suppose, but the value I've got for somebody to take it off my hands is way above what anyone is ever going to give me. Yeah. So it's just dead. Same as limiteds, like when I did, that kind of stuff earlier. We're talking about that. It's just, so I do find the concept of like selling the whole gallery, but saying like, oh, well, I'm going to keep 11 cards, just like a headache and just like a discussion point and all that stuff. And then it just becomes, well, if I'm going to get into that negotiation, all that stuff anyway, why wouldn't I just sell what I don't want when I don't want it? The stuff that I want when I want it, because I'm used to doing that anyway with like toys and other stuff I've collected over time. And like with like FIFA, especially like when I used to play FIFA quite a lot, like cards, like good informs I would get early season, I would probably keep them for the full game. Like if I got a good inform in like the first couple of game weeks or something, team of the week 4 or something, I got like somebody cool, I'd be like, oh, he's staying in my team all season. Like he's the right back.
Yeah, there's that one aspect in FIFA that I personally also really enjoyed was like the whole first owner aspect.
Yes, same.
Like I'm the guy that packed this guy. Like he has been in my club ever since he was actually created in the game. He was created for my account basically. So the whole first owner aspect I totally understand, which I feel like that's something as well. Like if I was to win a good European player right now, normally selling it to improve my teams for the summer period would probably be the smart thing to do. But if it would be a player that I actually like, that whole first owner aspect comes in there as well. And I would be like, I can't do it. I just can't bring myself to let go of him. It was way easier with like Onana and Takaoka, for example, that I won at the time. But like if it was, I don't know, give me Alphonso Davies, for example. I'd probably never sell that.
Yeah.
Because of that first owner aspect, the personal connection, and all that good stuff. Like, I held on to Mazraoui throughout the dip of his price because I was just hoping, praying that he would end up at Bayern Munich. Now I'm like, yes, I got one of the best right backs in the Bundesliga now. So I'm very excited about that.
They've been crying out for a right back as well, you know. But
yes.
So that would be amazing. I don't think anyone can forecast what his scores could be. Like, they could be phenomenal. You know, they really could.
I've watched one specific video where it was like the Zone interviewing them.
Sure.
And they were like looking at like the tactics of the team, and he had Rangnick next to him as well. So they were like going through his tactics for Bayern Munich, and basically what he was saying is, I need my fullbacks to bomb forward on the other side. If the ball is on the right, I need Davies basically at left wing for that crossover ball, and then to create something out of that, because most of the time that fullback will be open, and he hasn't had that on the right side. He's had to rely on Davies, and then Davies was injured for a very long time, played like 3 at the back and all that jazz, and never really did work out the way he basically expected it to. But now going back to like a 4 at the back with Davies, Upamecano, Hernandez, and Mazraoui, I can really see that work extremely well with Mazraoui moving forward and having the like technical ability that he has, his crosses. If Leva stays, even better. If Leva goes, I'm a bit worried about the whole Mazraoui thing because he will be kind of because I feel like he would be reliant on that big man up top that he can put the ball onto. Unless they go ahead and get like Kalajic as a backup or someone else.
That's what I was thinking, because like if they don't, the chat is they want Mane. If they don't get Mane, I think they'll probably just play Muller up there. Muller's not too bad because our midfield is packed. You know?
You probably feel like a Bobby Firmino-ish role.
Yeah, like Muller's, just put Muller in the 18-yard box and you're all right. You know, like it's not too bad. So I don't know. I don't think Bayern can really. I don't think they'll miss a beat next year. I think their midfield is packed. You know, they're not selling Sabitzer. They've not sold Tolisso yet. They've signed Gravenberch. You know, like it's like, where do all these people play? You know,
Musiala probably off the bench again.
Exactly. You know, so they're absolutely packing the midfield. So maybe Muller goes up front if they don't go big on Sunday. You know.
Yeah. I wonder if he can. I don't know. Like, Muller has been super consistent, but at some point his body has to give away a little bit, and injuries come into play and all that good stuff. I think they should, even if Leva stays, they should sign someone for that striker position or keep Xerxes and see if he can be that guy as a backup.
That'd be fun.
We'll see what happens there.
For sure. And on that first owner thing, it actually reminded me of something. Like, see when Sorare was first kind of growing from maybe, I don't know, 1,000 users to 5,000 users, I can remember thinking to myself, hopefully I can win enough rewards so that I've got like a gallery of rewards and I can just sell every card I've ever bought, if you know what I mean, and then just have a gallery full of because there's a wee trophy symbol for each player you've won, you know, and then just the full gallery. That's all it is trophies, you know, just rewards.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I kind of sold that sentiment when I let go Jonathan David. I got him for winning a division, I think, which I didn't realise that until I sold him. I was like, I got him for winning. It's like, maybe I should have kept that. You know, just sentimentality.
Yeah, I know. That's why I've been holding on to like Kökçü and Sinisterra despite all this like rumors of them going and never being as good as they would be at Feyenoord and all that jazz. Like,
where do you think Kökçü will go?
I just hope he goes somewhere where he actually plays, and I hope he goes to a team that's good at ball playing, like a team that doesn't just hoof it up the pitch and hope for the best. A team that actually, relies on their midfielders to dictate the game. I've been hearing like AS Roma and stuff.
Yeah, I think it'd be class for Roma.
I think under Mourinho, I could see him do well. I don't know. I believe in Mourinho as a coach. I like him a lot, even though at the beginning I didn't necessarily like him, just like Zlatan. Like certain players or coaches you hate at the beginning, and then you're like, you know what, this guy's kind of all right.
Yeah.
And I feel like Roma would be quite interesting, especially with the project they have building now, winning that European trophy. I think they could attack a little bit more next season, and Kökçü would be an interesting one there. I'm more worried about him than I am about Sinisterra, because I feel like what Sinistera does can translate really well into any team, just like Luis Diaz, for example.
Sure.
Where you have that 1v1 ability, you have that pace, you have the finishing ability. I feel like he is less of a worry than Kökçü is for me at the moment. Do you reckon? Where do you reckon they go to?
We've definitely seen that more with centre mids, I think, in just general European football. And then when you're in, the Sorare kind of perspective, you see it a bit more up close and on the spreadsheet, if you like, of where their scores have went. So I definitely agree. I think there's always more jeopardy with a centre mid in particular, whether it is a ball winner or an attacker, because that is the engine room of games, and if you move up a level, you're against better people that will close you down. You've got less time, less space. Your decisions have to be better. They have to be quicker, faster, longer. Everything's, up a bit. And if you can't, less players will step up in a cauldron situation. Whereas guys who are wide or like poachers or even just like basic ball bag defenders like Harry Maguire or whatever, like if they're in a repeatable situation of just like beat a man one-on-one and get across, or balls in the air, win a header, or, that kind of thing, those step ups are a bit easier because it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think for midfield, just so many more things go on that step up is the harder one to make in a lot of positions. So I agree with you, basically.
Yeah, I think the Kökçü thing, as I was saying, AS Roma, if he does go there, I think the set pieces go away though, because Pellegrini takes them all and he's the captain. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah, that will hurt his AA for sure if that's the case. Yeah. If Pellegrini's on the ball. I don't know. You might find it, you might find he doesn't get them all, but he gets like the right-handed corners or something, and at least you get something, and
yeah. What I like about Kökçü though is like he has a longer contract, I think like 2025 or something.
Oh, cool.
So that gives the club a little bit more.
There's a chance to keep him.
Yeah,
that's good.
Like I feel like he possibly stays. Cini I could see move. Like for me, if he can play down the right, or if Leao can go down the right, having Cini at AC Milan would be unreal. I think they would be so good with him.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if it was you, but somebody said to me that there was links for Kökçü to go to Turkey.
Yeah, Beşiktaş, like, not links, but basically what he's saying is he's a huge Beşiktaş fan, and if he ever was to go, he would go there.
Sure.
I don't think he will. I really hope he's not stupid enough to waste away his career there. I hope he stays where he's at, or at least moves a step up into Champion Europe. Like Bundesliga could be quite nice for him as well. I could see him do really well for like for a team that's like in between 8th to 5th, something like that.
Yeah.
Would be quite nice.
Now, Bundesliga are always quite happy to shop in the Eredivisie, so that's probably one you can see. But again, we've seen that with Nicolas Dorsch. I know it's Belgium, so it's not quite the same, but he was a boss in Belgium, and he's been decent in the Bundesliga, and I think he's actually coped pretty well. But like midfield is definitely one of the hardest spots to step up on.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of magic. Well, Cani, listen, I won't take up any more of your time, buddy. Thanks a lot for coming on and spending some time with me and talking some strategy and help me clear some thoughts. It's been great to get your perspective on a lot of stuff as well. Thanks a lot, mate.
Hey, I appreciate it, mate. Love it every single time I come on. It's a great experience, and I'm probably going to listen back to this straight after.
What did I say again? What was that good idea I had? Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, mate. Bye.